Tony's in mine, and like I said, he's kind of off the grid. He teaches us a lot. He knows a lot. And we're going to have a nice, long conversation with opportunities for questions and answers afterwards. But Rob Maxson, he's a local businessman here, and like I said, he's a good friend, and he's going to tell you more about himself and talk about the self-reliant patriot. Welcome.
Okay, sorry about these. Didn't mean to freak you out. If you're not freaked out by the end of this talk, then God bless you. Okay. These we can hand out there. I've got 10 of these things, and I guess y'all can share. What they are basically are. Well, first, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in this area. And left, started a computer business in another state. We used to make computers, put them on and all this stuff. Then I came back here and bought into my father's business, which was Shalimar Yacht Bases. And upon his death, we sold it a few years back. I'm not associated with those people over there now. So I would do things differently. But anyway, I, like all of you, presumably, are concerned about what's going on now, how we've gotten here, things like that. And I'm not going to read from this stuff, but I am going to refer to notes as you can see. Anyway, the way we got here basically was government policies and government regulations causing things to collapse.
That thing doesn't have a very big lip on it.
No, sure does. Okay, but the problem was that due to keeping interest rates low, things like that, and allowing other countries, our country, other countries, to borrow too much money, we had the Asian crash, okay, or the Asian crisis as they call it, back in 97, 98. Anyway, this led to a number of things. Japan had started out, everything was going fine from 55 to 90 or something like this. And their land was going up, they're paying more and more. We all remember that. They looked unbeatable. And then Thailand started borrowing a lot of money. Anyway, these ASEAN, these Asian tigers, got into trouble. And at the height of this crisis, they had borrowed up to 180% of their GDP. That's unsustainable, obviously. And then they crashed, and it gave us the shakes. It brought down Russia, and 2 years later, it brought down the Yeltsin government with it. But my wife is Russian, and so I know a little bit about that situation. People that had saved up all their lives, I mean, they make 150 a month. They'd saved up all their lives. They had all their cash in rolls of rubles, worthless, boom, like that. And it was tough. Nobody used to lock their doors before that. And so I went over there a few years ago. They have big doors now. They have maybe 5 locks on them, literally. They have a 1/4-inch thick steel plate on the door. Plus they have a buzz-in, buzz-out steel door downstairs. It was unfortunate. But anyway, we had some things like that happen here. We had the dot-com bubble, 2000, 2002. Liquidity was pumped into the market, and instead of that dot-com bubble, the real estate bubble, all this kind of stuff, people took the money and they didn't invest it into businesses or making more money. They put it in the stock market, or they put it in betting on these IPOs from these tech companies. And some of them doubled overnight. And all of a sudden that game came to an end in 2002, and we had the so-called dot-com crash and all this kind of stuff. So that kind of gets us where we are a couple of years ago with the stock market crash and real estate crash. And unfortunately, real estate is still going down, but it's not crashing. It's kind of spiraling down. Unfortunately, Fannie and Freddie have a lot more to put onto the market because they're holding millions of houses, and when they do, then real estate, as you all know, is based on comparables. And so this house goes down, gets foreclosed on and resold at 70% of its value, then that affects this next door house. Anyway, so we have a little bit more to go there, unfortunately. The big bubble that we are facing right now, the big danger right now, is twofold: the dollar bubble and the government debt bubble. As you all know, regardless of what the Fed says, you can't print more money, even if they do it on the computer and don't actually do it by printing the paper. You can't print more money and have our current money worth the same. It just doesn't happen. So we've got a lot more inflation on the way, and as soon as the QE2, the quantitative easing, stops in June, then interest rates will reassert themselves according to market forces. Now, they printed a lot more money than they did in the 70s when Jimmy Carter was in office. Anyway, all these are my suppositions and everything based on my research. I really hope a lot of this stuff didn't come to pass, but we'll see. Government debt is now, well, in 2006 it was 8.5 trillion. It's now 14.32 trillion. So here's what I was thinking about. Are there any parallels to this? Well, everybody says, well, Germany after World War I, things like this. Well, what about more recently, Argentina in 99 through 2002? Well, in here, I've just got a lot of info for you to read. In here are two articles about Argentina. This guy wrote an article, Strelzik wrote an article on the 31st that mirrored what I was thinking. Argentina borrowed too much money. They let their unions get paid, while everybody else was still at a lower wage level. And they couldn't pay it back, and so they started selling more and more treasury debt. And then their treasury debt sales were declining, so they started buying it. Argentina started buying it. That's exactly, as you well know, what we're doing now. That's coming to a halt in June. But when other countries said, Argentina, no mas, then boom, within a week, their banks closed their doors. They had riots. Many people were killed and injured, things like that. Anyway, they went through 3 presidents before they got it sorted out. And it's still in the process of being sorted out. So what do? I mean, you have to do something. And that's why we're all here. Because we're doers. We don't just sit there and go, oh gosh, this is terrible, or like a lot of 9-to-5ers, well, I'll just go to work and pretend that this doesn't happen. Like my sister, she's a sweetheart, but she says, well, I don't want to think about it right now, because it makes her upset. Well, it makes me upset too. Anyway, what do? Well, there are several different categories we've got to look at, obviously. One is monetary self-sufficiency. Now, I've got just some examples here. These are starting places for you guys to look at. I'm not an investment advisor, broker, anything like that. And I'm not giving any investment advice. However, there's an internet bank called www.everbank.com. They offer CDs, interestingly enough, in your choice of currencies. Now, I don't recommend this, okay, in your choice of currencies, because currencies are way too darn risky. If the dollar blows up, there's going to be a lot of stuff that goes right along with it, along with the euro, okay. Canada and Australia are probably two strong currencies because they're natural materials based that they sell to China. Anyway, the other CD that Everbank offers, but it's closing July 9th, 2011, is a metals CD. They have 5 metals in there, and they're, if I remember correctly, it's obviously gold, silver, nickel, copper, and one other one, maybe aluminum or zinc or something like that. But the neat thing is they guarantee that you won't lose your money, period. On the other hand, your gains are capped at 50% of what the metals rise to. So if the other metals, rise maybe 15 or 20%, and silver takes off 200%, well, you're capped at the 50% rise. But it's a lot better than a 3% CD. Anyway, it's pretty neat, I think. Okay, the other way to play Canada is go online, look up the Canadian Edge by Roger Conrad. Now, what he promotes is promotes Canadian income trusts. Now, the Canadians aren't really capitalists anymore, not most of them. And so what they do is they create these companies, just say oil and gas company, they have an oil and gas company, they fund it, they go out and buy up all these producing properties, and then they pay out maybe 85% of their income to their shareholders, and leaving the rest for bank payments on loans, exploring for new properties and things like that. So those are pretty neat, but they have them for oil and gas, for mining, for a lot of different things. He has researched the best of them. They pay from 10 to 13%. Now, if our interest rates go kaflooey through the ceiling, they're not going to pay 10 to 13%. They're going to be paying 20 to 30%. Okay. Okay, another area is hard money. Well, what kind of hard money? Gold and silver come to mind, obviously. Now, gold is for your wealth preservation, maybe 10 to 15% if you can afford it. Put in gold. What kind of gold? Well, if you're going to take anything across the border, don't take it in Mexico. If you're going to take anything across the border, bullion is the best thing. And I don't mean bullion coins. Okay. What I'm talking about are little bullion ingots. Okay. That's not used as a monetary instrument. Okay. That's important because monetary instruments you have to declare over $10,000, which you should always abide by the law. Anyway, so you can, if you wish, buy United States gold or something like that. But anyway, it's for the big amounts of money. The other thing to do, well, you can go to www.independentlivingBullion.com, or you can go to Lear Financial. It's there's a lot of. Just be careful that they don't charge you too much of a percentage above your spot purchase, above the spot purchase. It'll be maybe 1% above spot. Okay. So another one is what do you do with your day-to-day money, your living money, and things like that? Of course, you need a stash of cash in a safe place. If we have bank closings, you're going to need enough cash to pay for a few things for a while. Then if we have hyperinflation, then you're going to need something like junk silver coins. All right, there's a lot of places you can get junk silver coins, but I suggest that because they're the lowest premium and they're also minted in the past by the United States. And so the very least that they can be worth is their face value. On the other hand, in Washington State, I think I read the other day, there was a fellow that was accepting junk silver coins again for payment of gasoline. Clever boy. So